So last episode we talked about our bilateral relations. Now let's focus on what's going to happen in France this year.
Yes,
Very
please.
challenging, both the election
Yes.
and also tourism, or the situation after the terrorism.
Yes,
So we started with the election first.
please. Yes, so we'll have general elections. In France we have a special system. The French electorate elects directly the president. They elect also directly the MPs. So both elections will take place this year in May and June. May for the presidential elections and June for the legislative elections. So
Right.
it will be quite important. The mandate, of the president is for 5 years in France, and the stakes are quite high. But we are very much used, to organizing elections, and I must say that French like it also too very much. It's a kind of sport for us. It's the candidates are numerous in this case. They are very eloquent. So it's quite interesting to see the electoral campaign. And although the elections will take place in about 80 days time now, from now, in fact, we are not sure about some of the candidates still. So it's still moving.
All right.
And we are also facing something a bit unusual, because in fact I think worldwide now you have the medias, if I may say so, divided in two. You
Right.
have the traditional medias, television, newspapers, and you have also the social networks on the other hand. And for the traditional medias, the situation is very clear. We know the games of the rules of the game, if I may say so. It's the polls are very clear and so on. But for the younger generation, they communicate about the election through the social medias.
Why do Thai people have to pay attention to the French election? How important it is?
I think it's. You have seen the elections. In the U.S., you have seen the Brexit.
Right.
The results were quite, to some extent, unexpected, or till at the end, till the vote. The opinion polls or commentators couldn't say much certainly about the result of the elections in those two cases. I think for France it's going to be the same. I think the future of Europe is bright, because in fact we have a strong alliance, and most of the candidates are in favor, of course, of Europe. So I think there will be no big surprise with this, with those elections. But the way the elections are going on is quite interesting, because the younger generation are very present. What is surprising in those elections, but I think it happened maybe more or less the same way in the other elections I mentioned before, is that the two previous presidents, in fact, will not run for the elections. They were not chosen by their own parties. So you have new politicians arising, appearing.
Another thing that we are very interested to talk about is about the post-terrorism era in France, and France has long been the world destination. So how did it affect your country tourism industry, and how you will regain the tourist confidence back to let the people back to France?
Yeah, of course it was severe blows. Of course the attacks 2 years ago and last year, but we did our best to reinforce the security systems in France. We did really a lot. We did exactly all we can do for that. And but at the same time, it should be efficient, but not hampering the tourists too. So there should be a balance. So we have been doing this for 4 months, and we are quite happy, because in fact in 2016 France remained the first tourist destination in the world. We just got this information about 5 days ago, and the number of tourists was of 83 million tourists in 2016. So the figure is quite good, and it shows that although, of course, France was hit severely by those attacks, in fact, we found ways to create security and enough safety for reassuring tourists and convincing them to visit our country. And of course, all this will carry on reinforcing our security in the coming months, of course, and especially with those elections taking place. I think there will be no security issue with the elections, but we have at the same time to organize big elections and to accommodate our tourist friends. So security-wise, we do our best, and it works. So we are quite happy with that. I think, as I told you, that it's a perfectly safe country, but beside this, I think French art de vivre, quality of life, Sanook is still, as Thailand is there. And you can enjoy in France wonderful food. We shall have a surprise on the 15th of March next, because there is the Michelin yearbook which is going to be published, and Michelin yearbook gives a list of the top chefs, and there will be some surprises. Some chefs are really rising, so a good occasion to discover their food by going to France. So art de vivre is still there. It's good wine, good food, beautiful sceneries, and very friendly surrounding. So I'm sure that we shall convince more and more Thai friends to visit France, and we'll do our best to promote this.
All right, as you speak, I just want to go to France right now. Very, interesting and very beautiful country, and French food, French wine. So thank you so much for being here with us today. ขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณครับ
และนี่ทั้งหมดนะคะก็คือสัมภาษณ์เอกอัครราชทูตฝรั่งเศสประจำประเทศไทยกับ Meet the Diplomat ค่ะซึ่งแน่นอนท่านทูตก็เชิญชวนนะคะให้คนไทยไปเที่ยวฝรั่งเศสกันต่อตอนนี้เรื่องของการก่อการร้ายนะคะทางการฝรั่งเศสก็มีการเตรียมความพร้อมดูแลรักษาความปลอดภัยอย่างเต็มที่อันนี้ไม่ต้องห่วงค่ะสำหรับตอนหน้าของ Meet the Diplomat นะคะจะพาไปพบกับท่านทูตท่านไหนรอติดตามกันค่ะ